none, I would entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented, please.
I move that we accept the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries. And, item D, superintendent interview window announcement. For Mr. Hopkins.
Just to give you, everybody's aware we're doing the superintendent search. We had 22 applicants. 4 of them had current superintendent experience. 12 of them had central office administrative experience. 4 of them were principal or building level administrators, and 2 were executive leaders. We had 13 men and 9 women. We had 16 applicants that were from Virginia and 6 that were from other states. They were DC, Georgia, North Carolina, New York, and Pennsylvania. But the most important part of my announcement is required by law. The school board will conduct interviews for the position of superintendent from May 2nd to 17th, 2022. These interviews will be held in accordance with the Code of Virginia, section 2.2-3712. And that's the announcement I needed to make to be legal.
Thank you, Mr. Hopkins. And at this time, if I'm correct, Dr. Sneed, we'll be turning this over to Mrs. Anderson for art presentation.
Yes, ma'am. I'm so happy and pleased to present Dr. Anderson, who will be introducing our Virginia School Board Association Art Competition and People's Choice Awards. This is something that we do every year on an annual basis. And I'm just want to let you know I'm so excited to see the students here being recognized this evening. And I saw the families outside proudly reviewing and looking over the artwork. And so we're excited to get to that, and I believe that's where we're going to get to. Correct, Dr. Anderson?
That's correct.
All right, so I hand the floor over to you. Thank you. And I'd like to also thank the principals for being here this evening. It means a lot to and the teachers, and means a lot for our students. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite all of the art teachers with their student to come up, please. Madam Chair, Dr. Sneed, and members of the board. Each year we have the opportunity to celebrate our art program and recognize the Judges' Choice and People's Choice Award winners from the regional VSBA art competition. We'll begin with the People's Choice Awards. The TEAC staff here reviewed all the artwork submitted by each of the schools. Based on the votes, 1 student from each school was selected to receive the People's Choice Award. Now you're going to have a chance to meet each of those students, hear more about them and their artwork. And I'd like to begin by introducing Gracie Clements, a student at Gordon Barber. Is Gracie here tonight? Unfortunately, we do not have Gracie with us, nor do we have her art teacher or her principal tonight, but I would like to share a few words that her art teacher submitted. Gracie is new to our school this year, but it didn't take long to realize how great of an artist she is. She has fantastic technical skills and craftsmanship. For every project we've worked on, she's been able to follow along with the steps, add her own spin to her art, which is fun to watch as a teacher. She's an amazing artist, and I've really enjoyed getting to know her throughout the year. I'm looking forward to continuing to work with her over the next couple of years. Gracie's artwork is aspen trees in front of a night sky. I love the way she was able to thinly add an outline to the trees as well as the detail on the bark. Her gradient in the sky was nicely blended, and the color choices work well for a night sky. Overall, extremely good craftsmanship. So congratulations to Gracie from Gordon Barber Elementary. And from here, I'll turn it over to Ms. LeVar from Unionville and Lightfoot, and then each of our art teachers to introduce their artists.
I am Alex Labar, the art teacher at Unionville in Lightfoot, and I have the great pleasure of giving out 2 People's Choice Awards tonight. The first one is for Dasha. She is currently a 5th grader. She made this beautiful piece called A Winter's Night and mixed all her own colors. She only had white, blue, and black, and then made all the other tints and shades that she needed. She is always telling me at home that she is working on art, and I hope you continue to do so when you go to middle school next year. And I'm very excited to give you this award. There you go. And then my next People's Choice Award goes to Miss Samaya. Samaya is a 1st grader, and I've been working with her for the last 2 years. She is always taking her time, and sometimes takes a little extra time, which is fine, because she shows excellent craftsmanship when she paints and she draws. And I look forward to seeing what you do in the future. So there you go.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Renee Burke. I'm principal at Prospect Heights Middle School, and I have such a pleasure to introduce a young lady here who's just a fantastic student in general, just overall a lovely young lady. Her art teacher, Mrs. Reeves, wasn't able to attend this evening, and so I have a few words from her that I would like to share about Michaela and her art. Michaela is an outstanding student in art. We are truly proud of her and her ability in the art classroom. During the semester, she was introduced to many new mediums, and one of these mediums was charcoal. For her assignment, she created a still life that was made up of 3 items. For this assignment, we practiced shading before we began, and with little guidance, she did extremely well. Charcoal is a medium that requires you to envision the light and dark areas of your objects before applying it. I believe she did an amazing job. And at the end, she applied the charcoal and blending it out so that her items stood out. So it is a very lovely picture and very well done. We are very proud of her at Prospect Heights Middle School. Congratulations, Michaela.
My name is Susan Garnett, and I am the art teacher at Locust Grove Middle School. And this is Lianna deBoer, who is the first student from my school who has ever won at the Virginia Forum. I'm very honored for that. She also won People's Choice Award, and I believe she won Judge's Choice Award also here at TF. And that is that amazing, beautiful landscape that you're looking at over there that she won at the Virginia Forum. I had Lianna first semester in just regular 8th grade art. And that's where she did that painting. And the strange thing is I usually get my best work from my advanced art students. But Lianna really broke the mold on this one, and she did what I was like. She went into, and the kids know what I'm talking about, she went into the zone. The zone is where the muse is speaking to you, and the thoughts become clear, and you can tune everything out. You just start to see what you need to see, and you just start to paint. And the muse was there for that painting. I mean, I was watching her in the process, and I'm like, oh wow, something's happening here. Now, Lianna enjoyed first semester art experience so much that she asked to be in advanced art, which is 2nd semester. And of course, absolutely. She's in there now, and she's working on a painting. Is the muse there? No. But that is absolutely okay, because it's going to get there because she's an artist. She will work through it. She was working really hard through it today. Congratulations, Leanna.
I'm Jenny Shepherd. I'm one of the 2 art teachers now at Orange County High School, and I'm here to present the award for Michaela Coberman. She's not here this evening. We'll make sure she gets her certificate Thursday in the morning. So this is Serenity. It was a color scheme project. We learned about different color schemes. They were able to choose their subject matter, and she found an image that she really liked of this tree, and she went for it. Michaela also likes to take her time on her projects, but because she's such a perfectionist, I always give her the extra time she needs because her work is fantastic. She's a freshman, and we cannot wait to see what she creates throughout the rest of her high school career.
Our principal, Mr. Finger, over there, and I are both very proud of this young lady. And did you know, excuse me, up here, did you know that your principal was a music teacher too, a long time ago? Well, this young lady lives life like a song, and as you know, when you put a bunch of musical notes together, you get a melody. And this is Melody Essen, and she is quite a happy person because the song that she lives is a happy song. And what do we do all the time when we start art class? What do we do? What do we sing? Do we sing a song? Okay, does this come out? Yes, it does. No. Oh, watch this. Now, Melody is such a happy little girl and loves art so much that she's going to lead us all in this song. We're going to sing the first line and you have to sing the second. So we're going to go back and forth. We sing this all the time when we start class. Ready? I'm an artist.
I'm an artist. I paint and draw. I paint and draw. And I like to play with clay. And I like to play with clay. I have fun every day. I have fun every day.
So Melody is in kindergarten. Melody is in kindergarten, and she did this painting called the Sea Anemone. Now there's a lot to this, and it starts out with having to draw the waves behind the whole thing. So you start with crayon, which is, you know, you can see all the lines back there. So we studied the element of art, which is line. And then we added some color. We just plopped a big old bunch of paint in the middle, and some white and some magenta, and then we went out in what's called a radial design, like the rays of the rays of the sky, the rays of the sun, the rays of the sun. And so you can see the little arms going out in all the different directions. She put the little poison at the end, and then she did all these little fish around that are the food for the sea anemone. And you can even see the unfortunate 3 that the sea anemone was having over for lunch that day. So Melody is just a happy little girl. She loves to do her art, and I can see great things coming for many, many years. Right, Melody? Melody, sorry. Melody. Sorry, right, Melody? Okay, Melody.
I have the pleasure of introducing Lianna, who comes from a line of artists, and she's a 3rd grader, and we were working on line and all the different ways you can show line, but we're also working on showing emotion in your drawing. And so this was, how would you feel on a crazy hair day? So this is Crazy Hair Day. Juliana is an excellent artist. She always has a unique perspective. She always has something interesting to say. She's a great craftsman, or crafts lady, and she always does things very well, and she does her best. And I'm looking forward, because she's a 3rd grader, I get her 2 more years. So we are looking forward to seeing how she grows and develops as an artist. So.
This is George Whiteside. Can I pull this off? This is George Whiteside. If you're looking to meet an all-around awesome guy, here's your man. This guy takes on all the things that you want in a great student. So he's kind, he's respectful, he's responsible, and in the art classroom, there's nothing that he can't be amazing at. There's nothing that he has not just gone all out and been like the last kid to finish because he's just so particular about getting everything exactly right. So he did his painting here. This is tempera paint, and we were, obviously it was in the fall when we did this, so we were trying to feel what it was like to be outside and to see all the leaves changing color and falling on the ground and all that great stuff. So this is one aspect of the artistic side of George. Another side of his artistic amazingness is he is a dancer for Orange School of Performing Arts, and he rocks it on stage. So if you ever get a chance to see something they're doing local here, go, because you'll see this guy. He also was one of the stars to our recent show. The 5th graders put on a play at Orange Elementary called The Lion King Jr. And this guy was Simba. And he stole the show with his dancing, his singing, and all the theatrics that go along with it. So please help me congratulate George Whiteside.
Could we have one more round of applause for all the People's Choice Awards? The Judges' Choice artwork was selected by a panel of judges and represented Orange County at the VSBA Regional Forum Art Competition. And I'd like all 3 of the Judges' Choice Award winners to come up. Elijah, right? Lianna, and Caitlin. Don't believe Caitlin's here tonight. So if their teachers would like to come forward and introduce their pieces of work, and I know we've heard about Lianna's and we've heard about yours. So these students were selected, and we had the winner that was 3rd place for middle school at the VSBA forums. We're very proud of those students. The artwork has been framed and hangs here in the halls at Teke for all of us to enjoy and be inspired every day. We commend these students not only on their creative talents and skills, but also on their persistence and their attention to detail. And we want to thank their teachers and their principals for their supportive efforts to create an environment in which they can thrive. We want to thank families and parents for encouraging and nurturing those talents. And it takes all of us to make sure that all of these students are able to achieve and able to pursue their interests in art and achieve this type of level of artistic ability. So thank you all very much.
Yes, we want to get them all together, maybe in front of here.
I'm so sorry. There were so many that were duplicates.
Yes, Elijah's the one. Hello again. All right, this is Elijah. He was the Elementary Judges' Choice Award, and he is a 3rd grader at Lightfoot. And this was also done back in the fall. We were talking about Vincent van Gogh's still life. He did a lot of pumpkins and gourds and stuff. And this was the first time they had used oil pastels since COVID and all the craziness that was. So we were talking about how to like blend colors and how to mix them and make tints and different shades and value and like how the light sources affects things. And so I'm very excited. I have a really hard time picking artwork for VSBA, and so I usually narrow it down, and my team helps narrow it down even further because I can't like make a decision. And so I'm very excited and very proud of you, Elijah, that you got a Judges' Choice Award, and I can't wait to see what awesome things you do in the future.
I apologize for doing that. We did have several students who were People's Choice Awards and also Judges' Choice Awards. Congratulations to all of you. So now we will head into a picture.
We would like all the students to come up and be recognized. And if parents want to, feel free to just move up and get a close-up of the group so you can get your child in the picture. Because I see there are some rewards that are in here. There's some there you go. Come on, teachers. There you go. Do we have all the teachers yet? Y'all just smile for the next 20 minutes.
Cheese and applesauce.
This is like right before the school play starts.
Everybody good? Thank you.
Thank you all. And at this time, we'll take a 5-minute recess, so if we'd like to get your students, and if you need, they'll have to stay for the rest of the meeting. I'd like to call the meeting back to order, please. And I will turn it over to Dr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In this work session, I have items A through I under superintendent's reports and recommendations. We will be moving through items such as field trips all the way down to finish it up with school facilities projects update. The first item is a presentation of overnight field trip request. It's being projected up on the screen, and essentially the requestor, if you will, is just requesting that one student attend the 2022 Family, Career, and Community Leaders National Leadership Conference. It's in San Diego. This is something that we customarily do. We're at that time of year where our students are starting to place and be rewarded with their victories, if you will, their placements in the local and regional and state competitions. And so this one lands our student in San Diego. We've done this before. The chaperone would be Cte Owens. You'll see the costs there for the fee, and the parent will take them to the airport, and then by plane to San Diego. It's pretty rudimentary. And of course, there's also a schedule that is attached for this conference. And so this is information only. If there are any additional questions, the sponsor and/or the director of secondary education will be in attendance at the May 9th meeting to answer any questions. All right.
Thank you, sir.
Item B is the presentation of the local special education annual plan, and it's just that. We have a lot of routine business this evening, and presenting as information for action on May 9th is Ms. Ayler for our special education annual plan. Ms. Ayler.
So each year I come before the board to report on how we are applying to spend our federal funding, which is IDEA funding. And so you'll see a lag at the top where it says the annual plan for 2020, 2021 has been implemented as written. Each plan is actually a 2-year plan, so it's 2 years behind. So 2 years ago, that was the plan that we have finished up. Typically our annual plans, which our federal funding is spent a lot the same way every year. But we have to put a statement in about the fact that we have students with disabilities were evaluated, identified, and served according to their individualized education plans. We've trained staff and administrators on their responsibilities, but also any changes that occur to federal law or Virginia regulations, or any Virginia codes that have changed. And so the federal funding for IDEA is split into 2 separate categories. One is section 611 and the other is 619. 611, they're called the Part B flow-through funds. This is for students who are school ages 5 to 21. So typically, if you'll scroll up just a little more, our entire grant is for $1,083,311. We actually get our final figure in the summer, so it usually comes in July, and they just have us use whatever we received last year as a guide moving forward. And so that was our award amount last year. And as you'll see, most of our funding is spent in personal services, which are staff and benefits. And then we do have some in purchase services. Currently, the funds fund 14 special education teachers, or 14 special education staff, which includes teachers, instructional assistants, and specialists. We also have some contracted services, adaptive PE, vision, etc., and then professional development for special education staff as well. The next category is the Section 619 grant. This is for our early childhood special education, so our students who are ages 2 to 5. This is a much smaller grant. The total award from last year was $29,117. And again, most of ours is spent in staff and benefits and a little bit in materials and supplies. It funds portions of 2 instructional assistants for the early childhood special education program, specialty evaluation, specialty equipment, classroom supplies, and child find activities. So part of IDEA and part of what we are tasked to do is child find, which is we have to look to the community, and we work with local agencies. It might be Infant Toddler Connection, local doctor's offices, parents, and teachers for students that they believe might be a student with a disability, and that's considered child find. And so we have child find activities 3 times a month here at, it alternates between Taylor and between Locust Grove Elementary School. That's where other early childhood special education program is. And so those are child find activities, and you know, there's some evaluation instruments and things like that that we have to purchase for that. The other pieces to the federal funding is one is the maintenance of effort, and this is actually part of the federal law that stipulates that we have to each year ensure that our school division, we comply with IDEA, which mandates that school divisions meet the maintenance of effort obligation. The regulation requires school divisions to spend at least the same amount of local or local plus state dollars, either in total or per capita for a current year, on the delivery of special education and related services as were spent the previous year. And that's actually a report that's completed in the finance department each year, and we anticipate meeting the maintenance of effort. And then the last is the Central Virginia Regional Jail. Part of IDEA and Virginia regulations is if there is a jail in your county, we're responsible for serving inmates who come to the jail who are between ages 18 and 22, who did not complete their high school education and were students identified as having special education services. So we have an agreement with the local jail, with Central Virginia Regional Jail, where each week we interview inmates to find out who didn't graduate, who may have had special education services, and then we are tasked to provide those services if need be. Any questions?
This was for the grant that was previously applied for earlier, so these are funds that you're gonna be approved for, we just don't know the amount yet, correct?
Correct. This actually, we used the funding amount from last year, but we'll find out in July what the actual dollar amount will be for the 22-23 school year.
Okay, and would this impact the school board's budget, or is this solely just the grant money?
It should not impact the school board's budget.
It's part of the federal funds in the school.
Okay.
And typically, our funding stays about the same. It's based on the number of students that we have in our December 1 child count that I reported on several weeks ago. And so our numbers haven't dropped, so we typically wouldn't anticipate the funding level to drop. Any other questions?
Thank you, Ms. Saylor. Yes, typically for federal funds, you look at the trend data and over the course of the years and understand what is the reimbursement piece look like, and just work through it that way when you build your budget. And so, that's how that piece works, and so, that's typically, I think, how we work with each one, right, Mr. Honaker? Just to emphasize that piece, thank you. Thanks, Ms. Saylor. The next item is the summer meals program. We have, Ms. Blair again, we talk about nutrition a lot, and she's gonna, I think, review a little bit over the waivers that'll be available this summer, is that correct?
Correct.
Yes, thank you.
Good evening. So yes, this summer, we are excited to be able to provide free meals to the children in summer school during the month of June. And we have a program that will also extend into July. The waivers that are in place right now will continue through June, and they help us to be able to provide weekend bags for parents to pick up when their kids are in summer school, or if they just want to go by to a school. So we'll be servicing all the schools, breakfast and lunch, Monday through Thursday, and then on Thursday providing weekend bags. We're very happy about that. Is there any more that you? Basically, I'm just providing information today, looking for approval next meeting.
I'm amazed at the meals you served, Linda.
Thank you. Yeah, we hear a lot of gratitude. Parents really appreciate it. We hear that frequently, and so we're very happy to be able to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Again, yes, all these items right now are informational with expected action on May 9th. This is another routine piece presented to you by Mr. Bill Berry, Assistant Superintendent. This is our continuation of the membership in the Albemarle Regional Migrant Education Program. Mr. Berry.
Madam Chair, Dr. Sneed, members of the board, I do have two items this evening. The first is the Virginia Regional Migrant Educational Program. Albemarle serves as the primary school system on that, and then we work through them. And it's something that we've been doing for years. I don't know that we've had any students who have qualified in the past, but that doesn't mean that we don't need to prepare for that in the future. This is an informational item, and this service does help to continue to identify and enroll migrant eligible students and provide services to promote their academic achievement.
Is there any costs associated with it?
None at all.
Mr. Berry?
Okay, the second item I have is the continuation of the custodial supplies contract, a renewal of that. The contract was originally approved for renewal on May 3rd of 2021 for the current fiscal year, and is renewable annually for up to 3 years. Lawrence Environmental Group has provided this service. We've been pleased with the service that they have provided, and we recommend the school board review the contract for the period of July 1 through June 30.
I had a question. Did we solicit any other companies to place bids?
We did originally, yes, but we're pleased with the services they have provided, so we feel it's best to just renew this contract for an additional year.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Berry.
Thank you, Mr. The next, we're gonna finish out my report with items F through I, and Mr. Arnold will be bringing us those. These are also customary with the lease renewals, but I do want to, for the history of the board, items F and G are customary, but item H is a new lease that Mr. Arnold has worked through, and so we're that'll be the new piece, I think, this evening. Is that correct, Mr. Arnold?
That is correct, Dr. Steve.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members of the board, the first item is the Boys and Girls Club lease for the back end of this building. And the current lease was approved originally by the school board last May, on May the 3rd, and went into effect on July 1st. And the lease is renewable administratively for up to 3 additional years and will expire on June 30th, 2026. The lease included originally rooms 57, 58, 59, and 60. And then back about 5 or 6 years ago, we added 14 at their request and our application for that new system. And given the low energy costs that we've experienced each year since the initial lease was signed, and now enhanced by the lower cost of the solar power, we again recommend against any increase to the monthly rate per square foot being charged of the club. And we are being paid around $1,200 a month for this lease. The administration recommends that the school board renew the lease covering this period from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. If there's no interest in early approval, we requested at the May 9th meeting.
Sorry, I guess I'm confused with all the questions tonight. Are those rooms being used, are they like multi-purpose rooms, or are they solely for the Boys and Girls Club?
Those rooms are solely used by Boys and Girls Club, but they also have a shared use of the gymnasium and will occasionally use the cafeteria. Okay, so the next one is for the 2 Locust Grove ball fields at Locust Grove Elementary and Locust Grove Primary. Again, there's been a long-term lease of those fields for several years, and we recommend its renewal. It's a no-cost lease. The organization maintains and improves the fields in exchange for their use, and will share the fields if needed, but they have first shot, so to speak. Both leases cover the period of July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. And the lease at Locust Grove Primary is exclusively with Historic Little League. However, at Locust Grove Elementary School, they have a cooperative arrangement with East Orange Travel Baseball, but also the field, so they work that out together. East Orange Little League has provided very good stewardship of our ball fields at these two schools, as well as relieving the division of the upkeep costs and responsibility for maintenance. Since the fields are not required for our students, they are going to be a benefit to the community. Again, the administration requests approval of those 2 leases.
I've had questions from the board of the league, and they've had difficulties in the past, and this might not be a question for you, but this is just putting it out there. But they've had questions and difficulties in the past just because, winter time it starts getting darker earlier. I know we have more sunlight now, but they've had difficulties with the lack of lighting over there. Would there be something that would be able to be worked out between the school and the league to install lighting, improve lighting? I know they also want to come next meeting to also bring up their concerns, but just wanted to preliminary put that out there.
Well, I certainly wouldn't rule it out, but we do not have the budget to contribute to that. We have no need for lighted fields for the elementary school. However, I certainly would be the last one to stand in their way if they want to propose something.
Okay, thanks.
Just for the board members that haven't been there, both these, they call them fields, but they would be empty fields if it wasn't for these ball people. This is land that we own behind both of those schools. The schools have no interest in using them. The school doesn't use them for anything. They would just be growing up in weeds if we didn't lease them out to these people. And they do take very good care of the property. They mow the grass. They build dugouts. They do all that stuff on their own, and just use the land. And we let them use it for free because they maintain the land and it serves a community service, I'm very, very supportive. If I thought we needed the land for something, then that would be a different story, but we haven't. They maintain it well, and I fully support it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arnold.
All right, the remaining item is more or less an extension of the last one. At Locust Middle School, there is a small field in front of the school that is also not used by the school. They have baseball and softball field behind the school that they use for their teams and their rec. So the field in front for the last 11 years now, since the school was built, has been more or less handed over to Orange County Parks and Recreation for their use. However, East Orange Little League has now requested to use that field, and that first thing that we did was check with Orange County Parks and Rec, and they heartily endorse the idea. They see the same benefit we do, improved field maintenance, and perfectly willing to share the field with them is the case. So I have drawn up a similar lease to the other two for approval, which would be again, would be an annual renewal. However, for the first time here, I'm proposing that we make it cover the period of May 1st or possibly May 9th through June 30th of next year. And then there'll be a renewal annually after that. Once again, we feel like East Orange Little League will do an equally good job on this field as the other two. And we feel like it's a win-win for ourselves, the county, and for development.
So is this one at Locust Grove that you're asking for,
Locust Grove Middle.
Mr. Arnold, for, May 1st?
Yeah.
Because
would
it's
make
not
yours-
technically under a lease right now.
That's correct. It's, right now it's informal.
I mean, I came by there tonight, somebody, I mean, there were 20 cars around there, somebody's been using that field.
Yeah, they may be Parks and Rec, or they may be
Okay.
East Orange Little League under Parks and Rec's approval to use it.
But I mean, are we taking it away from Parks and Rec?
No, sir, no, not in the least. This is all with their, very strong support from Tim Luber.
Okay, I mean, that's fine, because the middle schools may use it.
Considered as a win-win as much as it's worth. Other questions, comments?
The league is going on now, correctly?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Would we be willing to entertain a motion would that impact their playing ability if we don't
It
renew the
will
lease?
not, however, I would love to make it official sooner rather than later.
So Madam Chair, if you're willing to entertain a motion, I would move to
Agree on this particular item, yes.
I'll second.
All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Thank you, motion carried.
Mr. Arnold? You, like, the main part of your job is how can you forget about that?
Excited about that.
You're excited to get that lease and run. All right.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
As far as my projects that we have going on, the big one, the first one in line is, of course, Barber classroom addition and renovations. And we have signed a contract with Cambridge Construction, thanks to the approval last month. And I'll be meeting with them later this week to discuss starting dates, schedules, possible groundbreaking. On to Orange County High School. We received an additional portion of grant funding, and we will be installing a security film on some more schools that we had requested last year. But in the meanwhile, the same contractor went and installed solar film at the high school during our spring break. And it is a very high strength solar film that will reduce the heat load in those second floor classrooms. So that's done. And of course, they didn't do it on the north facing windows because of the west-facing classroom in the third. Also at Orange County High School, we had a crew come in and rebuild the boys' bathroom in the ag building. The outside wall of that building was a cinder block wall that had been built with non-treated wood studs, which had basically rotted. So we tore everything out, took the old tile off the walls, and went back with sheetrock and metal studs. So that bathroom is done. I will do the same thing with the girls' bathroom at the forthcoming date, because we know that's the same way we haven't seen it yet. Hornet Sports Center. It's been some time ago, we built a second floor in one of the racquetball courts for additional storage. We recently had to go back at the request of the fire marshal and install more sprinkler heads to cover that additional level. So that is complete. At Orange Elementary School, we've ordered materials with the current budget to rebuild the lower playground completely. We'll take out all of the wood retaining walls and the old fence and everything there. Reconfigure the playground wall to align with the top of the stairs and exclude the tree there from playground, so that we can then hopefully grow grass there to keep the kids off and for safety. The work will be done after the new budget year in July. The security vestibules are substantially complete. We got all of the doors in and all the storefront except for one section that is still back there. That is anticipated coming in June, so we finish that up. Last but not least, here at Teak, we have the large IT room. And we removed all three of the huge air handlers that were very loud and very noisy and were designed for 30 kids in that room. Now there's 5 or 6 people in there, and we have a much smaller and quieter heat pump system installed, taking out all the old units. Now the plan probably for next Christmas is to install a grid ceiling and registers. HVAC is enough. Any questions, comments on the projects?
Thank you, Mr. Arnold.
Thank you, Mr. Arnold. And Madam Chair, members of the board, that concludes my portion for this meeting of the superintendent's report and recommendations. I hand the floor back over to the board.
And at this time, we had Mr. Marshall who had requested to speak, but I don't see Mr. Marshall. So I say we skip over that and go to B, resolutions for discussion. At this time, I'll turn it over to Ms. Quintern.
Sure. So there is recent legislation that passed as far as, the sexually explicit materials resolution. And essentially what that does is require us to act and, follow the new legislation. So I've drafted this. I know there's gonna be comments from board members that want to wait for, further guidance to be passed from the, Board of Education. I believe that this is going to encompass all of the requirements in the, bill there, Senate Bill 656, which requires school boards to implement policies ensuring parental notification of sexually explicit content. And I think we were gonna hold this just for discussion tonight, but I would like to move forward, after hearing public comment about both of these resolutions, and hopefully at the next meeting. The second is the divisive content. We've heard over time and time again that critical race theory is not in Virginia schools. Well, there was, and now there's not, and there was, and there's a whole lot of back and forth. Now, I have not seen personally any agendas or anything like that in Orange County Public Schools, but as we all know, times change, boards change, leadership changes, and so I believe this would protect all of our students in order to better serve them in curriculum This by no means changes any history classes, changing, any kind of curriculum besides anything that would be deemed divisive, which would include, anything in violation of Title 4 and 6 of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. That concludes my presentation on the two resolutions. I don't know if anybody has any other comments.
I've sort of said it before, but I'll say it here publicly. The legislation she refers to, I have it right in front of me. And first is, that we're talking about a resolution here, the law that's gonna go into effect, July 1st, actually says that each school board will have model policies. And policies are have much more power than a resolution. So I would rather wait until these model policies are given to us so that we can get some of what she's asking for into a policy. Because we're actually gonna be required by law to have some kind of policy relating to this sexual material. By the law, we must adopt some policy by July 1st of next year. So we are going to be adopting a policy. I would just like to, and another part of what the law says, it says it has to be consistent with what they recommend, but it may be more comprehensive. That's in the law. So that means we can go beyond what is even recommended. I'm not saying we would, because I don't know what's gonna be recommended yet. But that's because I don't know what's gonna be recommended, and we are gonna get recommendations. That's the reason I sort of wanted to put this off until we get those recommendations, which they are supposed to give to us by the end of July. That's what the law says. They have to give us some kind of recommendation by the end of July. So, to me, I would just rather wait to see what they are gonna recommend as a policy, before we do this. But I support what she's trying to do.
As far as with policy versus resolution, if the resolution hypothetically were to pass, any member on the approving side of that motion would be able to recall the resolution for another vote, and I believe at that time it would be appropriate to substitute the resolution with the newly drafted policy once we receive the draft. But I'm not looking for a vote or anything tonight, but I wanted to put this out, and I know next meeting we have public comment, so I would like this to be at the next meeting as well, if anybody else would like to agree with that.
Well, I think it was good to have it out here and as part of this meeting, because now it gets posted publicly, and if anybody has public comments on it, they can see it. That way they know where our board is looking to go. At least two of us have said publicly we're willing to go there. So, if they have some objections, they have a chance to, let us know about that also.
Yeah, I concur. That would, let's let the, folks come in and weigh in and have an opportunity to see their perspective on stuff. And, there'll be viewpoints from each, so I'd like to have more information. Plus, to echo and dovetail into Mr. Hopkins, waiting on these recommendations to seek further guidance.
I agree.
So I would move to table these resolutions to the next meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
had a vote, I heard a couple ayes.
I think it was being,
But what-
clarify what was being, voted on, because I think it was to be tabled till
Till
more
next meeting.
input. It's not gonna be voted on for passage.
Okay, table
It's my
for more discussion,
interpretation.
okay, let's make a motion clear. Table for next agenda for more discussion, but no vote, no final vote.
Yeah, I want to hear some
Adding to it.
recommendations, and there's gonna be a lot of, further, input from.
Yeah.
I would, ask that we leave off the no final vote in case we decide at that meeting we would like to pursue a vote one way or the other. So just table this for further discussion at the next meeting.
Okay. So, Ms. Byram, we're down to review of May 9th agenda, and I see that we have lots to go on there.
So it looks like, we will have, all of the items we discussed tonight will be up for approval, except for the Locust Grove Locust Grove Middle Ballfield lease, which you did, and then we will add the discussion of the two resolutions. And we will have, public comment is at the beginning of the meeting, so we will be able to hear some feedback from the public.
Okay.
And then I believe I only have a Head Start report. I don't know if the governor's school will have met by the 9th.
Yes, I would definitely have a report for May 9th, because we're meeting that Wednesday. I don't know the date, second, third, something, but.
Okay.
And I can announce that, the Blue Ridge Governor's School is also looking for a new director. Our leader is called a director, and, we've had a search. We've done interviews. I personally didn't do them, but we had an interview committee, and they have a recommendation. We haven't announced who that candidate is, but we will take a vote on that person at our first meeting in May, which would be, Blue Ridge Grosvenor School meetings are held at, Zion's Crossroads, in the Best Western. We have an office in the Best Western, at Zion's Crossroads. That's where our director's headquarters are. And the meeting happens at 1 o'clock, and it's like any other public meeting, it's open to the public.
Byram, who do you have listed for, operating bills this next? I've gotten out of the.
I don't have my list with me, but I'll make a note to send out an email to remind everyone. Thank you.
And I also have a question. Do we have an update, I don't know if there's been any CTE meetings, I know that was a committee, so I was wondering if we would have an update on that committee.
Well, we hadn't had any more meetings, actually, so, yeah.
Alright, so the calendar, for calendars. For May, with the meeting for May is on May 9th because, Dr. Sneed will be at a superintendent conference. And then, other events that month are graduation on the 14th. And I did talk to the high school because board members get, parking passes and things like that if you want to attend. So, and there's special seating for you. They will provide those to me to give to you at the May 9th meeting. They hadn't been mailing them in the past, but I'm worried with the way the mail is lately, so. And then, the 20th is the last day of school. Our work session is, also moved up a week, due to the Memorial Day holiday at the end of the month. And then, right now, June is pretty easy. We have the regular board meeting and the work session. I do believe there's a VSBA school law conference that I neglected to put on here. It's usually on a Friday.
Which is June 3rd.
So I'll send out something to see if any of you want to sign up for that. That's all I had. you'll include pupil personnel. I don't believe I put a sticker by that on the front, but it's just the first two options.
Oh, okay, will it come out?
Yeah, it's just personnel and pupil personnel.
Pursuant to 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia, I move that the Orange County School Board convene a closed meeting session for the following: discussion of personnel or the performance of a division employee as authorized by section 2.2-3711A1 of the Code of Virginia for resignation, termination, transfer, employment, salary adjustment, and retirement of employees, in addition to discussion of pupil personnel as authorized by section 2.2-3711A2 for early admission, waiver of compulsory attendance, out of custody, out of district requests, and student discipline.